Have you ever felt hopeless to the endless amount of tasks and projects in your busy life? Have you ever felt like there's just too much on your plate and that you can't even begin to focus on your goals? Have you ever wished that there's just a simpler system to organize everyday life? In this video, I'm going to show you my simple productivity system that I use that has helped me finally feel more relaxed and in control of my everyday life. It has helped me create space so that I can move towards my goals and push stuff forward. Let me show you. But first, I'm Liam. I am a marketing director and ex-entrepreneur. I manage the marketing for 3 businesses, one of them a multi-million-dollar business. And on this channel, we enjoy all things productivity, all things self-development, basically anything that is connected to building a more ideal life. Let me show you the system that I use. I have trialed and tested so many forms of productivity in this life. Bullet journaling, use Notion, use Obsidian, used Evernote, used Apple Notes, used Google Tasks. I tried time blocking, I used Pomodoro. I have tried no system at all. I have done just so many individual experiments in this space, but I think that I finally found something that works for me. What are the fundamentals of this system? I have to thank 3 people. I think I have to thank 4 people. The first person I have to thank is David Allen for his great work in the book, Getting Things Done. If you haven't read it, quick skim. You don't really need to go into too much detail, but essentially he has a very simple system that is the highest level of my digital productivity system. And it's just how to form an understanding of where to move information. When it comes into you, where does it go? And how do you process it? And where do you put it? This simple graphic from his book forms the foundation of the system that I use. Then naturally we have the next step, and if you are in the self-development world or productivity world at all, you will know this name, but Tiago Forte and building a second brain. One of the few people I've connected with the most in his philosophy in terms of managing stuff and building a digital brain outside of our own so that we can forget what is actually needing to be forgotten. He has a framework in which he uses called the PARA method. And the design of this is very simple. He has projects, areas, resources, and archives. If you don't know about the PARA method, a quick high level of all of these projects are something that you are actively working on that take more than one work session to complete. That is a project. It has a deadline, it has active components and tasks, and it has more than one work schedule is the clear definition. Areas are like a role or responsibility. Something like being a parent isn't a project because it's ongoing. Something like health isn't a project because it is ongoing. So these are still things that we need to pay attention to within our system, but they are not projects. So they have their own group and they have their own connection. Then we have resources. Now resources are something that we create that could connect to an area or a project. But if there is no area or project that they can connect to, they're just a standalone resource that may be useful in the future, and we want to save them in a specific place and just have them locked away so that you can search and find them later when you do need them. Archive are just any inactive items from this area go into the archive. You won't lose them, they are just non-visible at the top end. This is the structure that finally made me feel on top of things, as well as being able to control information that comes into me at scale as a marketing director. Whether that's something I'm learning and taking notes on, or the endless amounts of emails that come in on my role, or managing 3 businesses. So there's projects that are related to marketing around those 3 businesses. And this keeps me very busy, but having a structure and a system for the information to come in and go somewhere and connect to a place means 1, I never forget where we're up to. 2, it's always documented where I am. And 3, well, I have a clear mind finally. I know that I can happily log off at the end of the day because everything is connected and everything is documented in the right place. And if it isn't there, then it's my fault and I didn't use my own system correctly. The final person I have to thank, or the final 2 people I guess I have to thank, is Tim Ferriss and a man named Sam Corcos. Without Tim Ferriss's interview, I would have never come across this person, but he covers a really cool point in this interview with Tim where he basically is talking about how he has done so much time tracking on all of his work that he now knows how long something will take, that he has moved away from a full to-do list structure and just uses the calendar.
I've worked with a lot of people on our team, people who are friends of mine through this. And the thing that almost always happens is they have this long to-do list and I say, all right, here's what I want you to do. Take everything on this to-do list with the dates that you think they'll get done by, which is usually this week or next week. And I want you to just put them on your calendar with the amount of time you think it's going to take. And then we'll have another follow-up call next week and we'll see what happens. And then we have the call. And then they say, this process doesn't work. I say, why is that? So, well, I tried to move it over there, but there isn't enough space in my week to fit all these items. It's like, yes, that's
the point of the exercise.
The point of the exercise is there literally is not enough time. Your time is finite and the number of digital items you can add to a to-do list is infinite.
Which, as soon as I heard that, it made the most sense to me. I love time blocking and I love using this method, but it didn't make sense in a professional environment until I heard from Sam. Runs a very incredible business and you can watch the full interview. I will link it down below. Talks about how he now knows how long stuff takes. So when something comes across his desk, he's able to move it from a task or an email into a calendar to say, I can do that. It's going to take me 3 hours and I'm going to put it here, and it's visual where you're clogging up work inside your week.
3.5 hours. And I just know, because I've written so many of these, I just know how long it's going to take.
Right.
Sam does this brilliantly and basically says, allow slack in the system.
So I always try to have people put it at 50% open space because something's going to come up.
So when you're scheduling your week, you should have a good amount of slack left. For him, he's at an ultimate level now. He doesn't need that because he understands how his own business works, it's his business. But as employees or other people that are just starting, there's so much ad hoc work that we don't account for and don't give ourselves space for. It's a problem. Make sure that you leave gaps throughout your week. So this literally changed everything. This is now how I structure everything. And then they released Notion Calendar, which finally brought it all together. Because I was using Notion for my core hub of my system, when they released Notion Calendar, this meant I could have my own tasks database that I already was using as a to-do list and now put it on a calendar, just like Sam Corcos had talked about in the interview. So rather than having 2 lists where I would have my calendar tasks and then I had my Notion tasks and I'd have to move a Notion task into the calendar slot, now I just have one and I just open Notion Calendar and I can schedule it myself. It's brilliant. So here it is. My Notion is my hub. It holds the Para framework and my calendar is the to-do list inside Notion Calendar. So these are the 2 apps and this is the framework that you can see here. Here we are in Notion and this is how this would work as a practical example. So let's just say there's an example meeting note here. So the way that this would work is obviously end of a meeting. A practical way to do this would be like, I need to review all blog posts by June 25th. So what should happen here is I would actually copy the rough thing I would have and I would open up Notion Calendar. And then what I'd do is I know that's Friday, so it's probably not going to get done to next week. And often I will, on a day like today, I will be able to actually add my tasks in. I usually just put them in on Mondays. And what I do is go like this, change it over to the tasks calendar, and I'll put in by June 25th. So I know that this is roughly going to take probably, there's 20 blog posts in this. To read through all of them, it's going to be like 1.5 hours of proper work. So I should schedule about 2 just to make sure that we're going to be okay. And then obviously we've got blocks of time that we can move this into later. But usually I'll put the task just at the top part up here that goes all day, and then what you can do is enter it in throughout the week. So this might go here, might be the first thing I do on. And then this is just a small note that I can probably do in 5 minutes. So often I won't put the small things like this on there, or I'll put it in between meetings that are on these bigger, busier days, like down here. Essentially, that is how it would work in a practical sense. One thing that really worked for me was consistency with one system. I learned the hard lesson of bouncing around between too many different things. It was my own fault. I had the shiny object syndrome, deleting the red dress, chasing a perfect productivity system. Guess what? They don't exist. What works for you is what is going to work for your future. What you need to find is something that does the job. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be fancy. It doesn't, as long as it's functional and will withstand the test of time, That is all that matters. Endless amounts of content on building your own system. I just want to share the fact that I've found something. It's ultimately very simple, but it works for me because everything is searchable and everything is findable. But the ping-ponging around, I mean, I lost years of notes and resources that I could have had in this system, so I don't know where they are. They're in some other system somewhere else. The changing platform doesn't change the problem that you have. You just need a structure. Whatever that is for you is going to be your structure. Now that I've built this though, I have a sense of relaxation. I can actually close the lid of my laptop at the end of the day, and guess what? I feel relaxed. Work isn't buzzing around in the back of my head. Things are documented, written down, and somewhere. That is the key point in terms of the productivity system for me. Is I'd love to be able to step away and relax. And it's made me happier. It's made me more deliberate in my relationships. I'm more present around the people that I love. I think overall just made me a better person in the life that I want to live. There it is. That's how I operate my everyday life. Now, if you would like to understand how to build this system for yourself, let me know. I can help anybody down below in the comments. I hope this video was helpful and a little under the hood of how I use digital productivity tools and how they serve me in my life. So that's my productivity system. Thanks for watching.